Hello, fellow internet denzians. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the heck you are. I am Mike Elsmore, developer advocate at Logs.io, and this is another tech off topic. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep dragging this along because you know what? I like doing it, and nobody's told me not to, so we're going to carry on. This session is going to be a little bit different. For the first time, there is going to be no Jim. So in the Guitar Hero world, you would call Jim hard mode for heckling. The person who's going to be joining me this time is what I would call expert mode. So I'm liable to be quiet for the first time in my life whilst I try to work out a internet-friendly way of responding without descending into a sweary mess. So I am now going to drag him in and let him introduce himself. Say hello.
I'm saying hello, and thanks for the pressure, actually, of being an expert at heckling you. Yeah, I did do it a fair bit, but never to an audience. That was never the point, Michael. So, you know...
That's a lie. We worked together. There was an audience.
Yes, but not this type of audience. You know. Anyway, thanks for having me. As you said, my name is Lek, and what...
Actually,
you
I
know,
didn't say.
Say again?
Actually, I didn't say.
Actually, you didn't say. Yeah, thanks for that. Probably because you can't pronounce it, can you? There we go. Should we keep score? I think we should keep score.
Yeah, no, because I don't have a big enough whiteboard.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I think there's a scorecard somewhere near you, but we can maybe relate to that in a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But anywho, that's a bit of an in joke. So yeah. We used to work together. That's how I know Mike. But by any stretch of my imagination, I do a lot of other different stuff. And by kind of normal standards and day-to-day jobs, I used to do project management. Now I focus more on workshop design and facilitation, mostly when it comes to cultural transformations within organizations, because that's what I really believe in, that we should, within our organization, create environments where people can do their best work, especially at the times like these where kind of there's a lot of stress, anxiety, and all sorts of stuff going on. We should be addressing that, which we don't think we are. Kind of shoving it under the carpet a little bit, but I'm guessing we can talk about that, but other stuff as well. It will kind of come out in the wash throughout the show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just as a thing, we have had comments already, and the entire thing is essentially a love of your beard, and it's connected to theirs.
Well, thank you very much. I've been growing it myself, purely entirely out of laziness, because I can't be bothered to shave. I used to shave when I was much younger, when I was a teenager. Clean shaved a few times in my life. Couldn't be bothered. Then started, a 1 day stubble, a 2 day stubble, basically just grown into this, which is 4 weeks in the making, 5 weeks in the making. Can't be bothered.
Which is ironic because I shaved mine down to stubble again this morning when I went, "Oh, you raggedy ass bastard."
See, that's the problem. It doesn't look too good, does it? I just need to try. But it's got to the point where I actually need to start looking after it because I do look like a hobo, and that's the issue. I can't be bothered to do that either. So
professional hobo.
Professional hobo, exactly. I've gone just from one end of the extreme to the other, where I couldn't be asked to shave. That's why I'm not shaving, and now I can't be asked to trim this. So what the hell do? I don't know. I'm blaming it on lockdown, but the reality is, where I am, barbers and hairdressers are open, so I could technically get it done. I just can't be bothered.
Well, as a pseudo brummy that you are, I can happily tell you one thing. At the moment, Birmingham looks a little bit like Poland.
Does it? Wow.
Yes. Barely anybody on the streets and a little bit of snow.
Wow. Well, you've got snow, I don't. And the bizarre thing is, where I am at this moment in time, I've got no snow. But friends living 10 miles away from me, they took their kids sledding the other day.
Just as an FYI, we do understand kilometers here.
Do you?
Yeah,
sure?
I think so. I think that's just this meter thing that somebody stretched a little bit. It's kind of like me. You stretch it.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to go there. But in terms of, if you do understand it, well, I should say we understand it because I am British, the same as you, and that I will continue reminding you. I think, why do we stick to that then? Why do we still stick to miles and yards And the worst one of all, and that really kind of grinds my gears, is when you look at fuel consumption in cars, miles per gallon. Why do you do it? Why do you do it miles per gallon when gallons are no longer sold?
I know exactly why. I would love to be able to say why right now, but that's because it's one of the topics in our running order, and that will describe it freaking perfectly. Right. So, if you haven't realised, ladies and gentlemen, Lek used to work with me. At one point, the poor bugger lived with me, which is the reason why he is next level shit when it comes to heckling me. Because when you work with somebody and then live with somebody and not kill each other, there has to be a way of letting off the steam.
That's one of the reasons I left the country, is because it was that close. And by the way, you weren't supposed to tell anyone that we lived together. I didn't realize we were at that stage of our relationship. Jesus.
We're talking about your beard and its relationship to bears at the very beginning. I think all topics are open at this point.
That is
luckily,
true.
The podcast is called Tech Off Topic, so off topic it is.
Of course, off topic it is. Yeah, absolutely. A beautiful sidebar.
I call that skillful. Thank you very much. This is your the Friday dose of banter and randomness, a little bit of tech news. I actually wanted to grab one of the topics off here because it's one that is a little bit contentious, but also affects people like me and you quite a bit.
Go on.
Now, I'm wondering if you've, because I know you've been avoiding the news mostly.
Really, for the past decade.
Yeah, attempting to not become a depressed mess, especially in the current times.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. Let's dragging this in. Let's see if you've had anything to do with this one. Because I know you have Facebook-orientated applications. We communicate via WhatsApp usually. And I know you have multiple Instagram accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know you're an unwilling Facebook user like myself.
Yeah, I'm very much a person who consumes, if anything, on Facebook. But even now, I do that less. The one useful feature for me that remains with Facebook is the kind of communities and groups and the ease of finding them. Because I don't do Twitter. I just can't. It's just way too loud and busy and shouty for me. And LinkedIn groups, I really don't know why the hell LinkedIn doesn't build up that feature, because it's already getting really crowded. It's a fantastic platform, but following the people or engaging with people that you want to is just impossible. So Facebook, in that respect, is the only one that's kind of useful for me. What is it that they're going to be sharing data outside of Europe and UK?
Yeah. Fabulous. So the general rule of thumb is all of the sub-brand applications owned by Facebook are now reporting information directly to Facebook. So WhatsApp, Instagram, Oculus, all those ones reporting directly to Facebook. Facebook then using that as a way to generate a single view of an individual and either target advertising on their platforms more accurately, because that's how they make money, or more importantly, the reselling and reuse of the data outside. Because, they're turning into Google, but without Google still provides, even though they are evil arse hats. Yes, I'm sounding very posh. Evil ass hats who do collect your data. At least they provide directly useful services that you consume. Email, search being the big daddy, YouTube. You still get actual day-to-day work, non-work use out of it. Facebook's doing the same. If it wasn't for WhatsApp, I would have, and the fact that I need a Facebook account for single sign-on and keeping an eye on, well, actually, I don't even keep an eye. People just send me shit now. I have no need for them in my existence.
Actually, you know what? As you said that, I don't think I do neither. I just have it because I do. It's one of those things, for people who have gym memberships but never go, but don't cancel. They just keep them. I don't know. But for me, it's genuinely, yeah. I do scroll Instagram, but I'm limiting that. Facebook, maybe a little bit, as I said, for the feature. Some social media marketing for some of the clients that I work with, but not much.
Yeah, but it's
just that fear of not having it, I guess. That's psychology of things.
But now that there's a big old, like, we are Skynet and we're snooping on all of your shizzle.
Yep.
Do you give a damn about their existence and wanting to carry on with them? Like, are you a step away from going back from Instagram to Flickr?
You know what? Let's put it this way, I'm probably not going to delete it. But if it disappeared overnight or like crashed like Google did and never restarted, I probably wouldn't cry. I wouldn't feel a sense of loss.
Crash that nearly made me cry the other week.
Well, I remember that situation, but it crashed first for me. I texted you and you went, "No, it's fine for me." I went, "Oh, nice for you." And then the console of Google Console that went from green all of a sudden to all red within 5 minutes. I'm going, I think I'm not the only one having the problem.
Oh, we've got a nice comment here that I'm going to have to drag in because you are a amateur photographer, and I'm assuming you used to use it. Flickr. Oh, Yahoo managing to fuck it up back in the day. It's like that comment is not wrong at all.
True. I used Flickr a little bit, never got around to it, never kind of utilized it. It was just too cumbersome for me, if I'm honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that what some people, this might be an absolute heresy that I'm saying, is that Instagram actually does it really well because it focuses on the pictures. It's center stage for you. Whereas Flickr, in terms of uploading, I think it was too complicated for me for what I needed to be. Maybe, but that's not a diss on Flickr.
I'm trying to work that one out.
How much time have you got? Because we might want to skip this topic in case you don't work it out, and because you know,
it's because I'm not a photo person.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm one of these people who I appreciate other people's photos, but I really couldn't give a damn about taking my own. From my little burnout escape to Southeast Asia at the end of 2019, I took less than 30 photos after being in 3 different countries.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
See, I like taking photos. I'm not massive on publishing them, but this is kind of comes into, and I know what you're going to say, but I'll address that in a sec. That I'm doing it for myself.
So you need to see this comment because it is something that
some people do belong on the radio, that's for sure.
Well, it's a good thing this is a string to start with, then, big like a tree. I wish I knew who you were.
Yeah. You know, honesty hurts, but it is. I'll use my favorite phrase: harsh, very harsh, actually, but fair. So
it's true.
But you know, that's absolutely fine if you want to switch off your video. I can carry this. This is just an option. Just an option.
A beard like that, you can carry this here. It's like a good old farmer's beard.
But coming back to the photos,
I've run out of coffee. It's no longer like
it's no longer the scorecard.
Oh no!
Let's come back to it when we run out of things to say.
Fair enough.
When I went to Australia a couple of years ago, I think I've taken something like 1,000 photos on my big camera. I distilled it to 500 or 600, removing all the crappy ones, unfocused ones. They were rubbish, and then I picked out probably about just around 100 of the ones that I wanted to do some post processing in, so enhance the colors and do some work with them. But that's kind of part of a hobby for me. But to share them and to put them on platforms and stuff like that, not massive. I hate selfies. I'd rather take pictures of other people than myself, or other things than myself.
It's because everything else is more interesting than you.
Obviously you'd know. Probably same experiences of not being very, very interesting, but maybe another time. And that's maybe why I never used Flickr, because it's just too complicated. I never kind of was in the. I was thinking of my favorite platform at this moment in time is Unsplash, where you can get royalty-free images. Is absolutely brilliant because it's professional photographers putting up their pictures. It's like Shutterstock but royalty-free. So for anyone listening, if you want free images, it's a absolute flipping gold mine, and some of the photos are absolutely stunning. I was thinking of putting some photos up there, but again, what's the point? It's not just kind of lose the little bit. But I do have an Instagram channel that I did manage for a couple of months. That's been dead for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months now, where I did put some of the pictures that I've taken. I might come back to that, but again, it just fizzled out, the excitement of it and the interest. So,
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I wish I was into photography and photography tech, because it is quite interesting. It's just a case of I like the tech side of things because I like image recognition. I actually I've been messing with DaVinci Resolve to be able to edit this podcast, the actual video footage of it.
Yeah,
and it's like it's getting quite interesting, like doing photo correction to then actually apply that to individual frames of a video.
Yeah. Yeah,
but you know what? The act of taking photos is still boring as muck.
See, the thing is, photographers say that you have to, like, out of 1,000 pictures that you take, there's one that's good. And you know what? I've probably taken a few thousand pictures, and I can pick a couple that I absolutely love that they've managed to capture. I can pick out a bunch where I just missed a moving object, a person or something, that they've moved their hand or their positioning. There was a frame off of being a perfect picture. I've got dozens of them. I've got hundreds probably of them actually, which is even frustrating. But I think that's what gets people who are a little bit more into photography, that they want to. That's like, oh, so close, I'll get it next time, and that's what gives you. It's like that kind of addiction, I would say. But talking of at the risk of actually this being tech related,
wow,
kind of iPhones and all the smartphones and all that stuff. I'm in the process of upgrading by today's standards, an ancient phone, which is an iPhone 7 that I've had 4 or 5 years. I'm going to go into iPhone 12 purely because I'm just doing an upgrade. So I'm just going to do it, and that's the ecosystem I'm in. I don't want to go Android. I tried it. I'm sticking with Apple. But I was looking at the photographs because my sister's got an iPhone 12, and I'm looking at the pictures. It takes beautiful pictures, but I'm going, that's not the camera that's taking that picture, because what is done to the photo afterward, and correct me if I'm wrong, because then this is kind of actually a shout out to correct me if I'm wrong. That's not the camera that's taking that image. It's the image is taken, and then the CPU is doing all the work that I normally would do in Lightroom or Photoshop in enhancing all the colors and everything else. Am I right or am I wrong?
Partially, because there is the principle. Well, obviously, there's the principle of was it HDR photography with multiple snaps, where it's then taking the average and fixing it. But then there's a whole level on top. Like I believe it's the reason for the neural chip in the big reason for the neural chip in iPhone, saying it's for all that post processing.
Yeah, somebody's saying, and it's adding artificial depth of focus. Yes, especially on the portrait. That's fine. Yeah, you can't. A lot of people think, oh, the blurry background looks. Don't get me wrong. The photos look spectacular. They actually, a lot of the time, they're really good. So for most people who are just like kind of point and click, this is a perfect solution. But this is also the problem why everybody's got like 2,000 photos from every trip. Because we just go into that overload of photos. I don't like that, actually. The easier it is to take photos, the less we value them, because we've got more of them. Because so you can always take that picture. We were reminiscing the other day with my dad about film cameras, where you put the film in, where you've got 36 frames, the old style analog stuff. Taking a picture, you had to think twice before you press that shutter button, because you're screwed. If you run out of the roll, 36, you're done, and you don't have another one, you're screwed. So, and now you just take 1,000 pictures a day if you want to. Yeah,
this is where I'm definitely talking to the wrong crowd, because I have now got a Pixel 5 as of just before Christmas. Ooh, one of the best cameras on the market for not ridiculous expensive phones.
Yeah.
I've taken about 15 photos of things that aren't my food.
Yeah, well, there you go. But the thing is like, why? There's this obsession with having the best camera. When I used to, and this it made me laugh. It was about 5 or 6 years ago when I was still working for an organization. I had a company phone. We had a Nokia 1030 or something, something or other, and it was bragging. Actually, rightfully, it did have a damn good camera. It was a 42 megapixel camera. It had, you know how everybody's complaining about the bump on the iPhones and the Androids at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Just look at it, the bump was the size of a kind of like that at the back of the phone. It was
hang on. Is that a camera or a phone at that point? Is that a camera with a phone attached or a phone with a camera on it?
I did wonder that because it was back in the day when they had that stupid system called Windows or whatever it was on the phone. It was just the tiles. I'm sorry, but that was just the biggest mistake of an operating system that you can imagine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to remind you now that it turns out that Lek is an Apple fanboy.
I'm an Apple heavy user. Let's put it that way. What did I have? I had the Nexus 5, I think it was.
Back when they were affordable and ridiculously good for the cheap price they were.
You know what? I actually bloody liked it. I really did like that phone. Like the design, like the system. What I didn't, and I would separate Android and Apple users, just smartphones alike, to two groups. People who like to tinker and have settings in different places, and that works for them. That floats the boat. And people who just want an out-of-the-box thing. And they want to have the perception of freedom and choice that they can do whatever they want, but they actually still want somebody to take them by the hand and say, this is what you need to do, this is how you do things. And that's kind of Android Apple for me.
Oh, good Lord, the perception of freedom are one step away from tech conspiracy theories.
Pretty much, because Apple just gives it literally out of the box. It just works. You can do certain things. You can control things centrally, and this is one of the biggest bugbears about Android when I had it is you controlled settings of an app from the app within the app and centrally from the Android system. And if something overlapped, something worked, something didn't work. I don't want that in my life. I just want stuff to switch on and work when it comes to it. And if I want to get nitty-gritty with stuff, then yeah, I'll pick something different. But majority of the time, I just want something that works easily.
Yeah. On the topic of something that doesn't quite work, I am going to drag in another BBC News article.
Go on.
And this one is it's going to cause a bit of a flame, like a little bit of like it's possibly going to make you angry is probably the wrong word, but yeah. Let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when I share my screen again. Here we go. The Brexit deal mentioning Netscape browser and Mozilla Mail as part of the core tenants. Netscape is, if for those of you who are, way too flipping young or weren't on the internet 15, 20 years ago, Netscape was one of the initial browsers. To be brutally honest, Netscape invented JavaScript. It's that old. And Mozilla Mail, not something that's classified as a secure mailing app. As well, and as part of this documentation, it included stuff like using the broken SHA encryption, which I can't even remember which one it is because nobody uses it. There we go, SHA-1 and 125-bit RSA, i.e. the ones that got hacked in like 2009 are now considered not secure. As a British and EU citizen, like in that wonderful position where you get to sit cross-border, how the heck does that make you feel? Somebody copy and pasted a 20 to 30-year-old piece of law.
I cried my eyes out. It was just so funny and so typical. If you scroll up a little bit, there's a mention of how long the bloody document is. 900. There you go. The reference. Stop it there. The
reference is page 921.
That I don't know how many pages the document has, but first of all, equally, absolutely, hands up for the person who's actually done it. Well done, really well done for you. And also, you poor soul to be reading 920 pages into a bloody document like that.
Holy moly, it's 2,000 pages long. Do you want to be the person who was nerdy enough to know about this stuff and reading the document and realizing that just before the halfway mark?
See, I really don't know. Maybe it was just somebody who was clever enough to do a Command F and type it in Mozilla or something like that and Netscape. And to be honest, some of the stuff that's being mentioned to me is beyond my technical knowledge, so I actually don't know what this means. But it just cracked me up that this stuff actually happens, and just shows that we put documents together no one ever reads and no one even thinks about this. But there's a more worrying thing. If there's shit like that in this document, what else fell through the cracks or got wrong?
Hang on, are you drawing a parallel between the Brexit deal and the Apple terms and conditions?
There's a rumor that somebody read those once.
I cannot believe anybody has ever, in their right mind, that wasn't paid to read it, has read that document.
Yeah, well, maybe it's the same person that found this. God knows.
I'm not going to find out.
Okay, Apple's terms and cons, T's and C's, yeah, fine, mate. But any other T's and C's, who bloody reads those?
56 pages for Apple. I have never read, and I have been. Sorry, this is the iTunes specific one. I was an iTunes user because back in the day, it was actually a decent client and a good way of getting access to music before streaming became a more popular way of doing things. I never read the 56 pages of that. I'm sure as shit not going to have read 2,000 pages of international doctrine.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Difference between access to a music/streaming service and the future of the country and the continent. Touché. But notwithstanding, I think it's still ridiculous. I'm a massive fan of humanizing stuff, and to me, a document of 2,000 pages is insane. A T's and C's of 50 pages is insane. Client contracts that are longer than a few pages, insane. I believe in people having normal conversations and being able to have gentleman's agreement without having to have legal binding stuff to protect their asses if things go wrong. Because if I screw something up, I'll raise my hand and say I screwed up. And I don't need an out clause to be able to protect myself. Documents like these just absolutely baffle me, and I'm even more reluctant to read anything. I read a contract I was signing today with the supplier that was a few pages long. Absolutely fine. Mostly because it was something new that I've never done, so I thought I'll scan it. But in things like that, that's understandable. That's kind of more of agreement. But it's, again, 56 pages. And also, if you want to use that platform or that system and you don't agree with something that's in T's and C's, what are you going to do? You're going to say no? Well, then you can't use it. So you don't have a choice. You're making these T's and C's signing even more pointless.
Big Like a Tree has another decent comment, actually. It's 2,000 plus pages in total, but it is in sections covering different aspects of the agreement. So you can read the bits you need to consume, etc. So that is a valid point, but still, it's hoofing humongous. And in my eyes, the fact that the page count, most people will remember being at school or at university or at college, and they're making their word count by fluffing and copying and pasting and increasing the size of the document.
Do you reckon that's what they did here?
This feels like that. Like they've copy and pasted a piece out the old one. It's like, oh, we know we need to talk about it. I can't work out a better way of wording it and making it sound bigger and important. So I'm just taking the original one.
What do you reckon? Maybe this was an Easter egg.
This is the halfway through the credits Easter egg.
Maybe. Very unlikely that any of my lecturers from university will be listening to this. But if they do, hello to all of you. There was a group of us that I believe in second or third year, we came up just for shits and giggles. We were putting in random references into our works, like essays and reports. Not for plagiarism. It wasn't the point. We were keeping that above board. It was just for fun to see what we can get through. And we're basically quoting one another within text and then within the reference list at the end. No one ever spotted it. It was like 2 or 3 here and there, but we still reminisce on that every now and again. Maybe this was it. Maybe it was just politicians having a bit of childish type humor.
You know what? Part of me wishes it was, but once again, Big Like a Tree has made me sound like a giant child by pointing out that it's replacing hundreds of thousands of lines of regulations and legislation and law.
Yep.
And that is completely correct. It's just without that context, this is ridiculous. With that context, it makes, sense.
Yeah, but again, maybe I don't know about you, but I bloody didn't read that thing. Maybe it's covering, as old T's and C's, covering every single angle. And that's what you've got, a document that is 50 pages or 2,000 pages, because you have to cover every single eventuality. Like idiot proofing equipment, and putting things on stuff that normal person wouldn't eat, saying do not eat. I appreciate kids eat those, happens understandably, but if kids eat them, the likelihood is they're not going to read them anyway. They're just going to shove it in their gob. That's just how it works. But every single time I see on any type of little packet say do not eat, I'm just thinking to myself, somebody ate that once.
Yeah, there is what is it? There's health and safety and being safe. There's common sense, and there's the American way.
See, you see, yeah, absolutely common sense. But the thing with common sense is it's not very common.
As somebody who I think lacks it, that's me, by the way.
Very much, yeah.
I'm quite stupid, and yeah. Whoops. Anyway.
Let's not get political.
No, but just as a point of reference, the comment made earlier about the kind of people. Oh, Bulminek, I can't remember now. My brain. Let's move on, because I had a point and it's completely just left the building. Everybody, Lex got a beer. I need one now, because we have entered that point of day. We have entered the useless zone.
Very true. Very true.
I had a coffee in the vain attempt to be buzzed up and awake and able to be. No, it's not working anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Oh god!
Right, we get you so far.
I
actually haven't had coffee in about a week. I'm giving up a little.
Some more coffee.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I found a couple of really good roasters. I'm happy with that. I'm just trying to staying off coffee for a little while.
And officially, it turns out I need a jingle for the useless zone, and that needs to be played every morning at 9 a.m. till 11, and then in the afternoon from 4 till 6.
Sorry, did you say 9 o'clock till 11?
9 o'clock in the morning till 11. I'm not useful at 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. I'm awake.
I'm not saying you are. You're absolutely. But the thing is, you normally very, very rarely are you actually out of bed at that time.
No, I'm out of bed at that time nowadays because I have meetings. Because I have meetings doesn't mean I'm functional.
That is true, but that applies to most of your day. Anyway.
Oof. Ladies and gentlemen, the heckling has recommenced.
I'm surprised you didn't have a drum roll for this thing. Well, sorry, yeah.
I need a soundboard.
That's the one. You need a soundboard. Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm now going to move on to another tech-ish related topic it's something that affects the pair of us, because, well, it does. At the very beginning of 2020, me and Like were working together at a company, and we got laid off. We became sacked. As
Thank
well
you.
as quite
Thank
a
you.
few.
I just want to put it out there to whoever did that for us. Thank you.
I think I came up with sacked, actually.
Yeah, you did come up with sacked.
Yeah.
Actually, did it? Well, whoever the WhatsApp group was, I was referring to the fact that we actually got sacked, and to the people who did that.
Oh, yes.
Although we kind of did know that, we weren't sure. There were people who made mistakes in booking their calendars and making it visible to everybody else.
Clerical errors, shall we say?
Yeah,
But,
exactly. A bit of show and tell. So yeah, but I'm grateful and far better place, and I'm sure you are as well, and everybody else that was. We're actually we're coming up to an anniversary in a couple of weeks, aren't it?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I was starting. That was the beginning of this story. So we got laid off, and me and Lek had already been looking to move on anyway. So we'd both been job hunting, trying to find a better fit, because it stopped being a good fit for a little while for us. Which is the reason why Lek is quite happily smiling, if you can't see him, that it ended up being a good thing for us, because he's not wrong. In reality, great thing for us to get fired. Well, let go. Made part of a permanent outsourcing program. To quote The Emperor's New Groove, I think. But we both wanted to move to a non-traditional office-based job. We both wanted to be more flexible, both on the road, wanting to travel, So we both ended up in positions. I went into full-time DevRel again, so meant to be on the road at conferences, giving workshops, lectures, etc. And Lek moved into to begin with, initially, a bastardized product management and workshop stuff as a consultant.
Thank you for the words bastardized.
Well, you kind of just did bits of all of it and made a business out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. But that actually is very, very reflective. And that's why I'm so grateful for it. Because for many years, don't get me wrong, I loved what I did. I did project management. I did marketing for many years. I did event management, and I had a blast. I've seen things grow, and I was able to add value to the people I was working with, but also the kind of customers that I was doing this for. But I was always this one thing. But I was actually getting involved in all sorts of stuff. And that is just reflective of me. I'm a generalist. I'm not a pure 100% expert at one thing, but I'm pretty damn good at a lot of things. And they vary from being a podcaster to being a project manager to being a teacher to being a workshop facilitator, all sorts of things, where there's kind of a lot of multiple skills involved. And that thing was lifted when we got sacked. I was no longer a project manager. I wasn't slotted into that one thing. That's why it just burst out as all sorts of things. Also, it was the reality of having to basically have some money coming in. So it was the result of that. So you just grab at anything out there. And it has evolved, yes, because I latched onto something that I did. Project management for the first few months. But then I moved more into the stuff that I do now. So workshops, design, facilitation, leadership coaching and things like that. And now I'm narrowing down a little bit because that's kind of the route I want to go down. But that still has a lot of elements to it: the podcast, the webinars, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the reality of things.
Now, this is the point I actually want to get to. So we both had this career change. We both had it specific reasons of wanting more freedom. And personally, I wanted to be on the road more. You just wanted to be the master of your own destiny. But now, nearly 12 months on, we are in a very different world to where we wanted to be at that point. We have gone through multiple lockdowns. Currently, Lek is on the European continent, is currently in a lockdown, I can't remember.
Sort of. We're as close to you can get to a lockdown as is possible.
Without saying lockdown.
Without saying not so, but I think it's mostly because of the legislation in Poland that actually prevents it from it being called a full lockdown, which is, I believe, again, people can correct me if I'm wrong, linked to the constitution in Poland, that they can't actually enforce it fully, the same as the way they can do in the UK by passing legislation. So we are able to move around, walk around the streets, but majority of things are closed. Restaurants have been closed for like 4 months. My biggest pet peeve about this, gyms are closed, and they have been for a little while. Hopefully they will reopen. I'm making do up until now. I know there's a lot of people in tougher situations, and this is actually what worries me, is the mental and emotional impact of everything that's going on as a result of things being closed. Because I think that's what you're trying to get at, is the fact that we're stuck inside and actually can't get the stimulus and the ability to be able to do stuff.
But yeah, and so with the being locked down, we've been turned into remote workers. which technically is what we wanted to begin with. We both wanted to be remote. The difference is we didn't want to be remote in the same damn place for 12 months.
Yep.
So now the question here is, this is the thing I'm curious about asking you, because literally it's your day job these days. How in the hell has that affected how the hell people actually get the job done? Like for me, it's nothing, because I was meant to be a remote worker to begin with, but you've been interacting with a lot of people doing office transition jobs and all sorts of things like that. So how the Hades has the world changed?
People are making do. That's kind of how I summarize this, because when this thing blew up,
that'll do, pig, that'll do.
Yeah, people were just sent home and said, given a laptop, a Zoom account, and go and work. By the way, if you have any background noise, I'm in a block of flats that's still people are moving in and renovating stuff. There might be some drilling and hammering going on. But I digress. And people were just sent home and asked to do stuff. And that's kind of what I think. I was even talking to a good friend of mine, the one that I mentioned to you before we started on, the one that did the branding for me. He's been sent home as working. But, for example, his company doesn't support anything in terms of adaptation for home office, like a desk or a chair and stuff like that. It's the little things. It's things like that people actually need to have, because, a desk and a comfortable chair rather than it being an office table of some sort, a kitchen table of some sort. In terms of the evolution of how people are getting on with it, they're getting things done, because I think we're very quickly adapted to it. Thankfully, we've got the technology to do it. But can you imagine if this happened 20 years ago, when there was no Zoom or any of these any of the software that we use now for collaboration, work, and Muriel to be another one? LinkedIn was in very early days. Actually, 20 years ago, probably didn't exist.
Yeah, 20 years ago did not exist.
Didn't exist. Absolutely right. We barely had Skype, which is horrendous. It wouldn't be impossible. I think we've shown, all of us, massive amounts of adaptability. We've just kind of, and what helps is that it
didn't exist.
Really? 20 years ago?
Skype is 18 years old. It was formed in 2013.
Oh, wow. There you go. So people are trying to make the best out of it. Companies are doing the best they can. They're adapting, they're changing processes. But I think it's actually under the hood, when you dig a little deeper under the surface, things are lagging. Things are missing. So we're just doing things. The boundaries between work and life have disappeared, as you will know very well, that you tend to put in 10, 12-hour working days, because you don't have that to and from commute to the office. That is normally a boundary for things. That's why you continue to, and you say to yourself, I'll do another 20 minutes more. An hour later, you're still at it. And day after day and after day, that's where the problem is. That's where I'm really concerned about mental impact, emotional impact of what's going on, the burnout rates and everything else. Processes and getting stuff done. Listen, it was laughable when before all this, companies are saying, "No, we can't let you work remotely because you can't. We don't trust you to do work from home." Rubbish.
Barrel.
All of a sudden, everybody can work remotely. And also, I think if you don't trust your people to do work, you've got bigger problems than that, because whether it's in the office or at home, they won't do work.
Yeah, that sucks. That's a good point. But, yeah. Okay. Now, here's another thing that I'm curious about. The world's still changing, I think. Like, 12 months on from where we started, the world is different. We're still 6 months after the first global lockdown. The world is different again. Christmas was a shit show for most of the world, because the governments tried to be friendly, and then it all went to pot. Thank you, Bozza. But next year, things are going to get better. Well, sorry, this year. Oh, God,
I was going to say it was 2022.
Jesus. So things are going to get better this year. Vaccines, all that stuff. I actually want to go to an office. As a remote worker, I want to go and work in an office so I can be around people and shout at them and laugh. That is not the position I thought I would be in 12 months ago. what do you think's going to happen there? Like, because offices are like, there's going to be restrictions like we're only allowed one person per 5 square meters or certain other weird ass restrictions. Like, how the hell are we going to get social buzz? Because, not going to lie, Zoom calls keep me sane, but they don't make me feel better.
I know what you mean. A lot of people, I'm actually having conversations with a lot of people saying they can't be bothered. Zoom fatigue is way too real. Just people go like, I can't be bothered to be on camera. Can you just call me on a normal phone? Because we can chat as I go for a walk. And you know what? I think that's very healthy. And brilliant. Let's do that. I'm pretty certain we're going to go into a hybrid model. Because the same as in the position that you are in, where you are craving that social interaction, majority of people are going to be in that position. Also, it's easier and quicker to get things done when you see somebody in person. Also, you want to break out and go out from.
Just so you can see why me and Lek are laughing. Big Like a Tree has said, even when COVID is all over, I'd like everyone to stay 2 meters away from me. To be brutally honest, that's how I feel about most people because I'm an extrovert but hate people. But I still want to be able to shout at them.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have to be within 2 miles of a person to shout at them. They will still hear you.
Thank you, Heckle. Seriously, scoreboard was needed.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, I don't think it was. Actually, everybody knew it was going to be a blowout. By the way, have you still got the megaphone?
I never got it when we got canned. Remember?
Oh damn it! As far as gifts go, I think it was brilliant. I would have gone one step further, and instead of getting you a megaphone, I would have got you a muzzle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am naturally considered the loudest person in the room. I think that's normally, like in pretty much every room, I'm the loudest person.
Let me translate that for people who might have not fully understood what Mike meant in between the words. If you live in the vicinity of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, you probably would have heard him.
And as mentioned in the holiday roast of gifts episode of this podcast that we did at the end of last month, because that was the end of Christmas, somebody Secret Santa'd me a megaphone. Do not give the loud person a device that amplifies their voice. The fear in everybody's eyes whilst I turn it on was priceless.
I still can't believe I wasn't there. I would have loved to be there. I miss Christmas Secret Santa. Wow. Yeah. Fun and games.
Okay, so you're thinking we're going hybrid model and...
Pretty much, yeah. I think we're going to hybrid model because for numerous reasons. A, people's sanity, but B, cooperation. That's and the reality is not everybody wants to be in a remote working environment because for simple fact, they might not have the facility. They might not have the space to do it at home. And they just don't want that. They work better. They need that boundary because they can't get stuff done when they're at home. And, that's fine. For me, it was always being given that choice rather than being put in that situation. You have to do this. Bam. I had a situation when I was working for a company a few years ago. And basically, I was being offered a promotion, being asked to take on a new role, moving on from what I was doing. I said, cool, that's absolutely fine. But as we were negotiating a couple of things, I said, fine, but I want this to be a non-office-based position. And that turned out to be a big problem. And as we were talking, they were clearly not happy in doing that. And I got to the point of saying, you know what, actually, I think this is very, very unfair. Because had you gone out and advertised this post to get somebody external, you wouldn't have batted an eyelid whether that person's based in Birmingham, London, Glasgow, or anywhere else. It had to be within the UK. So I think me being in Birmingham, where the offices are, you're taking advantage of this.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, half an hour later, I had a reply post after the meeting saying, "We see your point. We agree to that argument. We agree to your proposal. It's going to be a non-office based position." Happy days. But I was just wanted that choice. I would still probably have gone into the office most times of the week. It's just having that thing when I wake up in the morning and say, actually, you know what? I don't need to be in the office today. Traffic is horrible. I don't want to be wasting my time because this is what going to the office is just a waste of time. I admire people who commute longer than half an hour to work. I really do. But I also think you're bloody wasting your time. If you think about how many hours a year that is wasting, it's just insane.
Here's the ironic thing for you, dude. In our previous job, did you know I had negotiated for a 100% work from home?
I know you had the flexibility.
Yep, I had 100% work from home, but not work remotely. Because it turns out the wording in that contract is very specific. Work from home dictates that wherever you give your company the home address is where you are based.
Fair enough.
So if I had buggered off to Scotland, same time zone, would have been fine. Whenever I tried using that and going abroad for a conference, there was always a little bit of contention, shall we say, because you're 2 hours ahead. Why are you finishing work at 3 p.m.? Because it's 5 p.m. for me, mate, and I want a flipping beer.
See, okay, I'll take a stand here that actually, first of all, it doesn't matter where you are, providing you do your work.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the type of management, which is basically micromanagement, when you have to. For me, where you are, what you do, and how you do stuff, I don't care. As long as it gets done. We clashed a number of times when I needed you to do something because although I wasn't managing you, I was responsible for the projects that you were working on. But I knew that you had, half a dozen other projects that you're working on. I don't care where you do it and how you do it, as long as you do it as we agreed. That's fine. Whether if you decide then to go abroad, that's fine. But I think you do have to take a little bit of responsibility and ownership for the fact of, okay, fine, I'm in a different time zone, I'll adjust. I'll work within the time zone of my organization. And then, in that case, still does not matter where you are, as long as if some business have core hours because they have to, fine, keep that. If they don't, that's a different story. But if they do, if you decide to go away, you have to. But I don't see this being a bone of contention for anyone. I think it's that organizations there's an inherent lack of trust, and we try to control things for the sense of feeling in control. And if 2020 thing showed us anything, is that no matter how much you want to be in control of stuff, you're not. Everything's flipped on its head.
Okay. Right, let's get on to a different kind of angry topic. So, I can't remember because I knew you before you were a little bit fascinated, but what is your current thinks of our Lord and Savior, the world's richest man, Elon Musk?
What's my opinion of him? Mm-hmm. Or what's my... I'm interested in the guy. Let's put it this way. I've been reading a fair bit about him, his thought processes, how he does stuff, and I'm very intrigued. I think in general, I've got a positive attitude to him, what he's trying to do, and kind of his missions. I don't know enough about any of the darker stuff that might be going on. I know he is a bit of a bastard, can be, but so was Steve Jobs, for example. But to a certain extent, that kind of is, maybe I'm saying bastard by general standards. But maybe being direct and speaking your mind like that is just putting people on the back foot and they're feeling offended.
Yeah, I'm so glad I've got that opinion out of you. Do you know what Starlink is?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. This article was from the Express and Star a little while ago. Thank you, NHS. On Monday this week, the first Britons, so the first people on the European continent have received access to Starlink. Now, most of the time, I would think that would be absolutely flipping amazing. This privatized technology is becoming available to your average person. That normally is fantastic to me. However, have you seen how much this stuff costs?
Yeah, I did glance. Let's put it a bit pricey. Bit pricey.
Bit pricey. The
Yeah.
modem and the dish is £500, ladies and gentlemen, and the internet access, which is, I believe, anywhere from 10 megabits to 18 megabytes per second, is £80 a month. And there is no guaranteed uptime. Please expect, I think it's between 10 and 25% downtime with the navigation and movement of satellites.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the whole point of Starlink is making universally available access to internet globally. So microsatellites, beaming it, bouncing it around, make it affordable for people in rural areas where, it's too expensive to dig up a line and fit £1 million fiber optic networks.
Especially if you're out of the EU and you can't get cheaper labor to come and do it for you.
Oof. That's a oof. But my problem with it is the places they're selling this and they're marketing it to, and the price of the equipment is aimed at privileged people who essentially want Wi-Fi at their ski chalet.
Yep. What is Tesla?
Oh, Tesla is a really badly put together Lego set with a really expensive battery.
Exactly. But do you know the business model behind that? The thinking behind it? The reason they started with the really expensive car is to sell it to people who can afford it.
Okay.
It works in reverse. You start off with the expensive stuff. You get people who actually have the money to buy the expensive stuff, which allows you as a business to continue developing stuff that is cheaper and cheaper. So they are basically starting at the high end to be able to build an affordable little city runaround car for, I don't know, 10, 15,000 pounds. That's kind of how it works. I don't know whether this is the case here, but I would guess so. They were pricing it so high to get the rich on board so they can get the money to build it. Basically, they get the rich to pay for the poor, if you will.
It's like, okay, I can understand with the car. You start with a roadster and you build your way down to more affordable, economical, and more reasonable for your average person.
Exactly.
Free is asking if I have a Tesla. I don't even have a driving license, so that's probably a big fat no.
And let's keep it that way for the safety of the entire planet, wherever Michael might be.
I suppose I am going to learn how to drive an automatic and ruin the North Americas.
Can you let me know when you actually are around there so I don't go there at the same time, just in case you're tempted?
You'll hear me go. But yes, so all right, I can get that, but I don't understand that with internet, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to produce the equipment for just because of what it is. It's not exactly like you're going to be able to make a cheaper satellite. The satellite is pretty much a fixed cost.
But you've got economies of scale. You've got economies of scale. The more people you have using it, the price can be lower. And or maybe they will offset that. The people who have the money, they will be paying more, and then they can do it to less developed countries for a much lower price. I really don't know. I'm always dubious of articles like this sort, and I'm always on the fence. I try and see the good side of things, but I know that there's a lot of sinister stuff going on. But neither one can be verified. That's the sad part. And that's the saddest part, actually, of the world that we live in, is that whatever you read, anyone that does anything, we have doubt whether their intentions are good and pure, or whether they're trying to trick us into doing something.
My resident Canadian in my life is also mocking me, saying that North Americans are screaming. So it appears everybody is afraid of me driving. And Big Like a Tree, just for my sanity, if you could send me any links for me to read afterwards, I would appreciate it, because I literally have, he's pointed out that, or they have pointed out, because I don't know who it is, that broadband in off-grid areas price is really cheap. I actually have zero clue on how much it costs. All I know is that back in the early 2000s, the UK had a massive, we're going to connect the entire country for internet is fine. And it was multi-million pound project through OpenReach.
I still don't get why UK is so far behind when it comes to high speed. I'm not talking rural areas. I'm even talking major cities. London, Birmingham, it's still lagging behind most of Europe, and I really don't know what's up with that.
For you, Lek, this is going to sound familiar from me when we were working together. It's all the legacy stuff.
The legacy that no one wants to ever clean up.
Yeah, it's it's that wonderful thing. The UK was one of the first to have major copper internet, copper telephone lines, and then putting ADSL over the top of it, and there's no space or money or inclination to fix it.
Okay, fair enough. The other thing is, I think Big Like a Tree is pointing that out, that the kind of in other areas might be a lot cheaper. Coming back to the news situation, one of the main reasons I don't look at news, no matter what the source, I will read it every now and again. Things come my way. I'm not ignoring it, but I'm not going out of my way to do it. It's because it's very subjective. People will quote data and prices and information to suit their argument. And even when they don't have bad intentions, they just do it without realizing what they're quoting and how they're phrasing their sentences. And you can present the same argument and the same statistics in two different ways. And it's tricky. So it's Express and Star, or what is it? Express and Star? Was it Express? What was that?
It was the Express.
Express. Okay, slightly better than Express and Star. Everybody in Wolverhampton would, and West Midlands would know. But it's still, arguably not the most kind of news oriented in terms of it being the most kind of legit and not for shock and awe kind of argument, but nonetheless it's still information. So it just takes too much time to dissect what is true, what is not true, and how much it actually where things are.
Yeah. Oh, I hate when you're being reasonable. It makes it really hard. So it's always easier to annoy you or react to you annoying the heck out of me rather than when you're being reasonable.
Yeah, that's pragmatism.
No, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but I don't seem to follow it as a behavioral pattern of myself. So, is there anything you would like to raise to the audience?
You know what? I think
we start with the outro, because we've done over an hour.
We've done over an hour. Excellent. No, mate. I think we've spoke about a lot of things, and I really enjoyed it. I like ranting, and I did realize that as we were talking, a lot of the things we were talking about, I was kind of ranting a little bit about. But I like that stuff. I think it's important that we vent these things, and not just kind of say that, oh no, it's fine when it's not. And yeah, I think the world is starting to spin the right way again. And whether we kind of get out and be able to do our remote stuff and digital nomading sometime soon will be good. I think it's just that the ability to have that choice, whether you want to do that or not. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, so I haven't made you depressed. That's a good thing. Nah. Especially like me, you're living alone in a place with zero human interaction, and the only way you're going to see a therapist is on the other end of a Zoom call, impacting the problem.
That is true. Very, very true.
So, right, cool. I haven't ruined Lek. Lek is, I still consider a ridiculously good friend, so I don't want to break him.
He's tried many times, but I'm just...
Hey, I never sat on you.
Yeah, mostly because you're too slow and I'm too fast.
Damn it, I didn't see that one coming. Shit. Right, so, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Lek, and, well, I double-checked this before we started to see if Lek had any social media, etc. he wanted to share. Turns out that is a big, fat honking no. He is a ghost. The internet does not exist for him, etc., etc. Even though we pointed out multiple Instagram accounts earlier.
Apart from one thing, LinkedIn is the only platform I do use, which is technically social media, but I just find it as a fantastic networking tool. So if anything, yes, you can find me on that medium. That's the one that I will respond for sure.
I will share his link so that people can go along and follow and find out what he's doing. And you are actually going to be doing something at the beginning of this year. What is it?
Yeah, it's launching a new podcast, which will be under my human brand, which is the consultancy that I'm running. Yeah, and it doesn't have a name yet. I'm still working through that. But the concept will be around the stuff that I do, so around company culture, leadership, and actually in a very similar format as you do yours. It won't be live streams, but it will be usually sitting with another person and just literally chewing the fat on a lot of things, having a bit of banter, ranting about certain things. I might have a few people co-hosting it, but that's something that's in the works at the moment, and hopefully it will start showing its head in about a month's time.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Lek has previously done one of these for another organization. I cannot remember the name of it, and has had some pretty big guests is the right word I'm looking for. Like most of my friends and I who've worked with Lek have listened to an episode or two. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to all of them. Like then they don't all interest me. Some of them literally are big fat talking heads as far as I can tell, and that's including yours.
It still fits on the screen though, which is fine.
Mine's taking up all of the screen.
Yeah, and he's got a wide angle lens camera.
Jesus. So Lek has experience with doing this, which means it'll be well, he actually taught me about Anchor and the other pieces of technology I'm using, so production value is going to be quite high. So, when that's dropped, I will add it to one of the podcast episodes so people can go find it, because if it doesn't exist right now, it's kind of hard to share. So either keep an eye on the Tech Off Topic podcast episodes for a mention of it, or go and follow Lek's LinkedIn page. That sound about right?
Yeah, sounds about right. It will land on the human.pm website, and it will have its nice little place there. But until it does, yeah, probably either keep an eye on that or LinkedIn, as Michael has said. Michael Anthony, by the way.
I was wondering.
I can't believe that took me an hour to flip and drop in your middle name. Anthony. By the way, Michael Anthony absolutely loves being called Michael Anthony Elsmore, for anyone who's interested.
Now I'm salty as heck. Thank you. So this has been the Tech Off Topic podcast. I have been your host, Mike, and
Anthony.
Yeah, and it's been really good to host Lek here. Thank you all for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
See you later.